All right, guys. So we are recording our first advanced coaching that we do during the weekday mornings, and because I know a lot of people are busy today, but this information I have is just really some great stuff, and so I want everybody to be able to watch it. And like Courtney just suggested, she loves going back over and taking more notes because I do talk fast, and so. This is going to be titled 8 Core Areas That Will Make You a Great Coaching Leader. And I think we'll be able to cover the first 4 today. And you guys know during these sessions, I'm always reading because it's really deep stuff like this. This training is just digging deep into how to really become that person that people will follow, okay? Because to be a leader, you got to look back and know that you've got people following you. You've got to have a life that people want to emulate. You can't be a parked car. And so that's what we're trying to do is get you to that point where, people want to get on board. You will recruit people just from your excitement and your passion. You'll find that. But for the most part, most people need to know that you can take them where they want to go, okay? And so the first, number 1 in this 8 areas, okay? Like I said, we're going to cover 4 today. Number 1 is having a gift of discernment. Now, I know some of us, it's a spiritual gift of mine, but I'm going to teach you how to have a learned discernment. And there's probably a better word for that, or develop your discernment. And that comes from, digging in with your people, getting deep rooted with them. I think a lot of leaders lack that. All right. I really, really do. Even at the top, I see it. They still get to the top, obviously, but I think they lose a lot of great people on the way because some people need people to be deep rooted with them, and they're just kind of skimming the surface, and they make some of their people feel like they're a number. And what I'm going to teach you is I never ever want you to have team members that feel like that ever, because that is not what we're here for. We are ultimately here to do God's work on this earth, and that is the kind of leader that I want you to be, that you are caring, that you pray for your people, that you hurt for your people, you celebrate with them. And so the ability to see discernment, the definition of discernment is the ability to see what is not visible, okay? That is good, bad. That's what, with Mary Ann, I saw her on stage and I knew she was my next sales director, and I was not wrong. I knew it. That is a gift. I can't say that I'll be able to, I think I will be able to teach you, but that right there was a spiritual thing, okay? Because I knew nothing about her. What I'm going to teach you to have the discernment to find the diamond in the rough, the needle in the haystack. Look for certain things about a person that you can say, you know what, I can take that and I can help her develop into a woman of excellence. God knew that I was a hard worker. I pretty much that's all I had going for me. I did not have people skills. I didn't care for people. I was self-absorbed. I could go on and on. But 2 things, I was a hard worker and I was a new Christian. I had accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior. And God knew he couldn't use me like that, like I was. And so having the spiritual discernment of seeing someone and God speaking to you and saying, you need to meet her, or having a team member and saying, I see something excellent in her. A little rough around the edges, but I can work with that. And so that is the difference of those 2 types of discernment. And so what discernment is projecting what is not being said. And I actually used this on the Voxer the other day, that Mary Kay used to say this. Your actions are speaking so loudly that I cannot hear what you're saying. Mary Kay used to say that a lot. And that's basically saying, you can tell me all day long that you're going to be my next sales director, but until you show me, okay, that, words are cheap, right? So your actions are speaking so loudly that I can't hear what you're saying. So discernment enables you to have this gift as a coaching leader. It enables you to coach and ask effective questions. It's able for you to see their roadblock, their fears, their doubts, that might keep your team members from being from reaching their goals. Okay, it helps you to see the red flags. All right, what you're doing is looking past you. I'm going to say that over and over. Get over yourself. I can't tell you, I've had a lot of leaders who can't get past themselves, and they look at their people like, she's going to work for me. No, that doesn't work. This business doesn't work that way. If you are going to be a leader and you've been called to lead, you are going to outwork your entire team. Just like last week, I posted what my schedule was. 9 appointments. I don't usually hold 9 appointments, but we had just come off a division championship basketball season that went on forever. Okay, and you guys know I do not miss my kids' stuff. I didn't get to work my normal schedule, my 2 parties a week. I had to catch up. So when I started booking and texting my customers, giving them the dates, well, they all started picking the same dates, and I had to make it work. And hey, that's a good problem to have. And so that's what I'm saying is you cannot be that leader that's going to sit back and watch your people work. That a leader leads. They're in front of the pack. And so being a leader with discernment, and if you're just tuning in, our number one category for the 8 areas that will help you to be a great coaching leader is discernment. Let me make sure I've got the mute off here. Okay. All right, good. And recognizing, so discernment helps you to have those red flags. Discernment also helps a coach to see what outside pressures might be holding a team member back from her top performance. All right. Once again, seeing their red flags. If you're not deep rooted in your people, you won't know because you don't know what's going on in their lives. And that's not what leaders do. Leaders are deep rooted. All right. So let's say a team member's got low sales. What does that really mean? It just doesn't mean she's not good at selling. The product's going to sell itself. Here's what perpetual low sales means. It means she's targeting the wrong demographics. And when she continues to target the wrong demographics, ultimately it means that she has low self-esteem. Okay? It's that whole building a company of dwarfs versus a company of giants. Okay? So no interviews, what does that mean? It may mean that she doesn't feel like she's really accomplished anything in her business and that she doesn't have anything to offer. Here's something that you always need to tell yourself. You will never be responsible for your person's success nor for their failures. If I waited until my recruiter became a red jacket or a sales director to do anything, none of us would be here, okay? She wasn't responsible for my success, nor is she responsible for any of my failures. All right, asking the right questions, doing life with your team members is like a child or a spouse. When you are deep-rooted in your people and you're doing life with them, you know when something changes. You know when something's not quite right. And you can ask the tough questions, okay? That's the discernment that I'm talking about. You've got a lot of different personalities that are going to be coming at you. But when you are, doing life with them, beyond this level 1 conversation, and it is exhausting because you're pouring in. And that's why you hear me say a lot, y'all, I can't do coaching yet. My cup is empty. I'm very real about when my cup is empty. Because when I give you my all, I am giving you my all, okay? And I'm always going to give you 100%. And because I care about each one of you. Have I had leaders in the past? Absolutely. Like writing this whole thing out, I was thinking about people who have come and gone. I'm like, she needed to leave. She was so self-absorbed. You know, she needed to go. She couldn't lead her right foot. Oh, those people make me angry. They don't care about anybody but themselves, and they don't succeed in this business. Number two, so we're moving on from discernment. Number two, you have to have conviction. You have to have conviction as a leader. Conviction drives a leader, a great leader. A good coach will have a few truths and convictions that she sticks with, all right, that she will fight for. You guys know I don't adopt you out immediately. I don't put my babies in the hand of the wrong babysitter, okay? I am a smother mother, and I keep you close when you're a new consultant. I mean, I never adopted Marianne out. She found somebody. I'm like, okay, but I'm still going to come down there. Didn't adopt Trinity out. And I only adopted Jennifer out, I think, after Jennifer was already a sales director. Why? Because I have convictions. I know how I teach. I know why I teach things. And I'm tough about things. Like, I'm very, very particular about who I put in front of my people, okay? So a great leader will have deep convictions on the way things are supposed to be taught and the way things should be done. You guys know that about me. Having or being a coaching leader with convictions, here's what it does. It creates a team with consistency. What you're actually doing is you're making yourself duplicatable. When you are duplicatable, you can have new people come in and they can immediately run, okay? Because you have simple steps for them to take. You haven't overcomplicated it. Here is something I want you to always look at when you are in front of, we're about to go to career conference, okay? You're going to be sitting in the classrooms with a lot of people. Here's what I found over the years. If somebody sits there and tries to teach you something and it seems too complicated, I will bet my next paycheck they are not out in the field doing it, okay? Because Mary Kay always says, do the KISS method. Keep it simple, sweetie, okay? We're keeping it G-rated. Sometimes she say, keep it simple, stupid. All right? And so becoming duplicatable and knowing why we teach things, why we do things, conviction, that's what I want you to have as you become the rising leader and you are building your team. The more clarity that you bring to your conviction, the easier that you find living and leading. All right, so I'm going to explain that. It's easier to make decisions when you have convictions. Like I can say, no, we are never going to go back to this one particular event, okay? I know that there are 10 nationals, but I went there once and I'm not going to go back. And I have conviction about it. I have, and I'll just leave it at that because this is being recorded. And so it's easy to make that decision for me because of my convictions, all right? You have to be deep-rooted in that too. There's my new word, my new phrase, deep-rooted, because I am always looking out for my team, okay? So it's easy to make decisions when you're convicted. Let's see what conviction. Oh, your conviction increases your confidence, okay? One conviction that all great coaches should have and seem to share, we all share this, is that each person has the potential to change, okay? Everybody can improve. I believe it. I don't buy into the notion that you're perpetually stuck. There's always a way to improve. When do you stop believing? When they quit, okay? That's where I've always said people break your heart because you see those little You see the diamond in the rough. You can see a little bit of sparkle in them. But if they're not willing to do the work that it takes to personally grow, and you guys all know it is work to personally work on you, okay? If you're not personally working on you, and in turn that helps you to help other people, then you can't make them. All right, so conviction also enables a coach to say the uncomfortable things. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick story. I'll tell you that this consultant has passed away. She was an older woman, but it was probably like maybe 15 years ago I had to have this conversation with her. So I was a new sales director, but I was very convicted and deep rooted in my leadership. And so I was able to say, she called me, she's like, I'm having problems with my reorders. Nobody's reordering. I don't have reorders like everybody else. I get the sale, but I don't get reorders. I already knew why. I said, can we have lunch? I had to pray because this was probably the hardest thing I ever had to do. And I knew why she wasn't getting reorders. She was a smoker. And I knew that once she gave the product to her people and they took it into their homes where there was no smoke, it smelled up their entire house. And I had to tell her, they're never going to order from you again because your products smell like smoke because you smoke in your car and you smoke in your house. How did I know that? Because she reeked of smoke. And that was really, really hard for me to sit there. But she thanked me for that. Now she went back home. She stopped smoking in her car, but she started spraying everything with Bollara. I can even hardly smell Bollara now because in my mind, I smell smoke and Bollara mix. It was awful. But you get it. Sometimes when you're deep rooted in your convictions, then you have the confidence to have the hard conversations. When coaching, you sometimes have to ask the tough questions, or like I said, the hard conversations, when it's obvious that they are making the wrong decisions or they're at odds with what they were previously labeled, when something different is happening, when they originally said, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, this is when I'm going to finish, and then you see them veer off track. They've given you permission to call them out on it. I've had to do that. Sometimes they don't speak to me again. But you know what? You told me this is what you wanted, this is what you're going to do, and now you're doing something different because whether fear got in the way, procrastination, laziness, called her out on it. Called her out on it many times. I'm saying her, but it's lots of people. And, sometimes they stay with you, sometimes they leave. But that's my conviction, okay? But they gave you permission. When you are coaching them, they give you permission. And you make sure you ask that question, do I have permission that when I see you veer off track, that we can have the tough talk, the hard conversations? You ask that immediately when you start coaching someone. Number 3 is accountability. When you are a coaching leader, you are accountable. You're accountable to them to keep them on track. You can't ignore the accountability part of this. A coaching leader, greatest responsibility is to help her people achieve what they have set out to accomplish, okay? As a leader, I'm just going to tell you, you'll lose sleep at night, especially when you know people. I've had consultants in my unit lots of times that I knew their husbands weren't working or wasn't providing, and I knew they needed the money, and yet she still couldn't rise to the occasion. We've talked about this over the years. A lot of times, women do what their mothers did. If their mother stayed home, they stay home. And they can't seem to cross that hurdle of being equal with their husbands to help provide. I'm not saying that the order of submission changes. God set that up. It's the husband leading the home. The only time that a mother should have to lead the home over the husband is if the husband is not leading the home in a godly way. I've heard this preached on before. And there, we all know you will have women that will come into your unit where their husbands are not the providers. They are not the spiritual leaders, and the mom has to be. That's her job, okay? But when you have, like Andy's the head of our home, and he's the spiritual, but I help provide. I'm okay with that role. And if you find that you have, good for people that marry a husband that can take care of the whole family, and those women don't have to work, and their Mary Kay is their play money. Good for you. Good for you. Kicks and giggles. But for the most part, most of us have to help supplement the family income. And believe it or not, you will have women that will come into your unit that are not comfortable in that role, and they can't get it done. And so I've seen it like, I'm sorry, if you were going to be your mother, you should have married your father because he was a provider. Your mother didn't have to work. Now you've married someone who might have been raised by a single mom, and he didn't see a man leading the home, and so he doesn't know how. That's marriage counseling 101. You need to go. What you have to do is help her see that she can lead, that she does have what it takes to make a difference financially. And then there's always some procrastination, some work ethic issues. It's exhausting. It can get, I'm telling you, when you are getting deep rooted with your people, it can be exhausting. But God's put them in your life for a reason, okay? And it's not about you, okay? You have to figure out why this person is in your space and how you can help her become who God is asking you to help her mold into becoming the woman of excellence. How can you help her? So accountability, you keeping them on track. So it's a journey and not a destination, okay? And so it all takes time. Sometimes you have to help them break it down into bite by bite, okay? But not everybody's like that. This is where knowing the personality charts play in. Because if you're a bite by bite leader, you're going to frustrate your people who can come in. They have the confidence. They have the stability at home. They have the work ethic. They see this, they're like, oh, let's go. That was Marianne. That was Trinity. That was Jennifer. What if I had held them back and was coaching them to death? They would have left. They were like, oh, this is boring me. That was me too. And so that's why you've got to do your homework. Knowing the personalities and knowing who can move fast, who's got all those characteristics to move fast, and then those that need to move a little bit slower, okay? Not everybody's born with confidence. Not everybody was an athlete that has built that confidence up, that is good at winning and losing and getting back up and keeping going. Everybody comes to you at all different seasons of their life and with different levels of skill. And so it's a puzzle. It is a puzzle. Okay. And everybody has a piece, and they're a piece of the puzzle that's going to all come together. And so needing to master the personalities and knowing, and that's part of the season of becoming a sales director, okay, is understanding. Now, when you are a seasoned sales director and you have been working diligently on understanding the DISC, you'll notice if you take your test frequently, where you used to be top heavy, that's what I'm going to call this, top heavy, where you were strong in two areas, say DI or DS or IC, the more you work with people, the more you dig deep with people and you learn and work with them, as you start to take it, you will start to level out yourself. That's when you know that you're a master communicator, is that when you take your own test and you're flatline, okay? You're no longer top heavy. And are there people that get to the top that are top heavy? Absolutely. There's a lot of nationals. You can hear it when they teach. And so you can still get to the top, but like I mentioned earlier, my goal for you getting to the top is that you bring your people with you, okay? That people want to stay with you. because they're not just a number, okay? They're part of who you are. They're part of this family. They stay with you. They have longevity. And that's what I want you to be proud of, is longevity, that you've got people that want to do life with you. And so sometimes when you're top heavy, and I've been guilty of that, I probably butt heads with a lot of D personalities, because they're strong D. They haven't learned to, level out. I'm a strong D. I'm deep rooted in my convictions. And so probably me and the D personalities, but strong Ds butt head more than anybody. But when your heart is right and you care about your people, they'll see it. Okay. So like I said, my goal for you is to build and work on those relationships with your people when they come in, so that they know they're not a number. Okay. Building relationships is the most important. I'm going to say this again. I've said it before. God doesn't care what your title is. He cares about what you're doing with the seeds that he's given you to plant and the work that you're doing for him. Okay. Accountability means that a coach will always encourage and follow up. That and that increasingly the odds of they're accomplishing what they've set out to do. So you've got to make sure that when you're following up and you're being accountable, that your people are hitting their goals. Whether it's small or big, they have to learn to win. You have to help them cross that line. If they're not crossing the big finish line, then work on daily victories. Work on weekly victories, monthly, quarterly. Those are the bite-by-bite people, okay? A coach will help them keep her commitment. Accountability is crucial to making this happen, okay? Their commitment to what they said they wanted to do. It's kind of like, always remember how you feel in the light and not how you feel in the dark, because you guys know there are some dark times. And we just tell ourselves, oh, you're feeling down, you're feeling rejected. I don't really need that free car. I don't really need to be a national. I don't really need to be a sales director. I'm okay. That's the darkness. Get out of there. Remember how you felt in the light, where you had hope. You have dreams. You were thinking positive. Okay, that's how you want to remember. And know to recognize the darkness and do whatever it takes to get yourself out of there. If you can't learn how to get yourself out of the pit, then you will not be able to help your team members get out of that pit. Once again, first person you lead is you, okay? Now, number 4 in our 8 areas, and this is the last one for today. And then I'm going to take some questions. I'll cut the recording off so we can ask some questions. Number 4 is the use of systems effectively. So write systems. To be a coaching leader, okay, a great coaching leader, you can't retain everything that every team member has ever told you. You have to have systems in place. And I'm going to tell you why. A coaching notebook, just go ahead and write that down, coaching notebook. You can't keep up with every goal. You can't keep up with every conversation, their habits, good or bad, their struggles. You can't remember everything. You don't have the ability to remember everything. And yet, a great coach, and you guys may not have known this as you do your coaching with your director, a coach doesn't have that ability, but yet a great coach has a high degree of intimacy with each team member. I hope that your directors have made you feel like that you are their number one. Because when she sits and talks with you and coaches with you and she recalls everything from your last conversation, I hope you're thinking, oh my gosh, she is so good. She's so into me. We are into you. We don't think we're not, but we have a notebook because we have life too. We have kids. We have other, we write it down. And that means we care because we want to be able to say, okay, This was what the last problem was. Did we get past this? What did we do? How did it make you feel? We write it down. I'm going to show you my coaching notebook in just a second. And that's how, as a coaching leader, you stay intimate with your people. That's how you stay deep-rooted with your people, is you write it down. They have a special section in your notebook. They have a page. It's how everything is possible. And so this is impossible if you don't have systems. All right, so those I personalities who are just shooting from the hip, guilty for many years, shooting from the hip, remembering everything. I could for a long time, can't anymore. A coach uses systems for accountability, for note-taking, follow-up, encouragement, for intimacy, their personal issues, because it's almost like a therapist. You're a counselor. We get paid a lot. We get paid counselor money, so be okay with that. But also know that you can't coach people every day, because I'm just telling you, your cup gets empty. You hear a lot of stuff. You hear a lot of drama, and a lot of times they're asking you for advice. That goes back to your conviction that you can talk the tough talks. You can give the right answers, okay? I've had to talk marriage with people. I've had to talk about a lot of things, okay? But that's where you have to figure out what you're convicted in, what your beliefs are, what you're deep-rooted in, and a leader leads. Remember, you got people following you, and if you don't, you're not a leader. You have to have a life that people want to emulate. And so good systems can make great coaches' job very simple. So here's my notebook. Okay, I'm going to show you my notebook. It's just a spiral notebook. I got these printed from my graphic designer. I think she charged me $2, and everybody has a page, okay? And I give them a few pages because I know how many weeks we're going to do. And I go back before our coaching, and I review what our challenges were. I review what our issues were, things that were bogging them down. Okay, let's figure out what we can work on next week to help you not be so bogged down with this one thing in your life. It might be something like I had a consultant, the thought of not having insurance was bogging her down. I would say, okay, well, here's how we can fix this. Okay, you need insurance. There's lots of independent insurance out there, like Medishare, whatever. Let's call them. Let's figure out how much it's going to cost you. And then let's see how much you need to make a week from your Mary Kay to pay for that. Because activity produces results. When you have results, it's that compounding, okay? Momentum is built in 30 days. A movement is built in 90. So remember, that's that whole swinging without a net. I get her going. She's got to have insurance. She's doing the activity. More activity comes. Next thing you know, this was me and my car payment. I needed to make my car payment. Making my car payment. Then Ryan went to private school. Started working on private school. Had to pay for that. Then Riley went to private school. And then boom, here I am, future executive sales director, 9 free cars. All because I needed a minivan payment. That's how it starts. And so having your notebook and knowing what your people need, okay, and helping them solve it through your conviction, through your discernment, through your accountability, helps them get what they want, okay? Now, having this notebook and good systems, if you didn't have that, you don't follow up as frequently, you don't keep them accountable, you don't have the consistency, you can't recall what was talked about, okay? And you're not there for them. Some people need that guidance. Not everybody does. We just talked about that. Some people, you just tell them what to do, they go do it. And you've got to be able to recognize those people so that you're not saying, wait, mama needs you to slow down. You got kids like that, okay? Some of your kids don't want to be, smothered. So it helps you to keep them on track with the process. So without the use of systems, Most coaches will fail to be able to recall, like I just said, what was truly most important to their people. And your team members will, their action plan, and you won't be able to recall what their action plan is and what their goals are. You get it. You get that. And so that's the 4 things: discernment, conviction, accountability, and systems. Those are 4 key that you have to work on to be a great coaching leader. And I love those. I just love those. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Let me turn off the recording so that we can ask some questions.